dreams collide. High road roaring every night. Spotlight on Spurs, feel the fight. Spotlight on Spurs, hearts ablaze through the cheers and cloudy days. From the lane to glory's flight. Spotlight on Spurs, shine so bright. Echoes rise when we take the field. This is passion, nothing concealed. Through the tackles, joy ignites. Spotlight on Spurs, burning lights. Feel the tempo, sweet and wild. London's warriors never mild. Every challenge we endure. Spotlight on Spurs, loud and pure.
What's up, guys? Luke here from Spotlight on Spurs. Another day, another injury update from Mr. Thomas Frank. Life is so easy being a Spurs fan. Just expect the worst, and that's what happens. Chris, first time back on the show, back on the channel this year. Anyway, how are we doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, happy New Year to you, Luke, and everyone else who's watching. I mean, it's not started as a Happy New Year, has it? To be fair, we can all say it on the first, and then roll on Tottenham to come in and sort of ruin the New Year's. But other than Tottenham, everything else is really good. Thanks. Just a bit cold up here. I've not got snow, but everywhere else in Scotland seems to have snow apart from where I live. So I'm just waiting for the blizzard to turn up and make it even colder.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of snow, but not too much. But then we have had Spurs warming us up with the fantastic free-flowing football, goals, conceded, wins, all of that sort of good stuff, as you know. Yeah, so as I said, we haven't got anyone lined up for tonight, but thank you all for coming in. The support has just been absolutely ridiculous. So thank you all for that. And yeah, let's have a little chat, Chris. Let's have a little chat. I know we've had a few little conversations around the whole Bournemouth game, but what was your whole thought on the Bournemouth game? Obviously, the lead up to it, the lineup that came out, Bergvall ended up playing on the right hand side of a three behind the striker. What was your kind of thoughts before the game, like expectations, and then we'll go a little bit more into the game.
I think when I see the lineup, it's probably like most Spurs fans. I was trying to figure out. It took me about 5 minutes to actually understand the formation, and I was like, "Are we playing a 4-3-3?" I think I tweeted it out, and I was like, because I was so confused. I was hoping that there would be someone on Twitter that could make sense of it, but everyone seemed to be saying, "Are we? What is going on here?" And then we mentioned. I know you spoke earlier about off the stream about the press conference pre-match, and there's just some things that I think it sums up Tottenham as a whole at the minute. You can't pinpoint us down to just there's one issue. The whole club just seems to be in a massive array of issues at the minute, and you just don't know what'd you do with it. Where'd you go with it? And then I wouldn't mind if on the pitch, not if we was winning every game, obviously, but even if we was looking okay. And I think we started off against Bournemouth. I thought the first 15, 20 minutes, we looked pretty good. Obviously, when Tell scored, I thought, oh, here we go. This is starting off all right. And then just seemed to slip back into our ways, which seems to be try and play out for a 1-0 win if we go 1-0 up. I don't know if that's what everyone else feels like, but to me, it just seems that we go 1-0 up, and it's a case of let's just hold on to this now.
100%. If I feel like I said it recently. If it feels to me that the tactics are let's get to 60 minutes and see where we're at, and maybe we'll bring a couple of players on. Maybe teams get tired. That's all seems to be it. But for anyone that doesn't know, Frank was in his club interview before the game. I think it was the club interview, but it was the pre-game interview. He was asked, and the question basically was, this isn't the exact wording, but it was along the lines of Bournemouth haven't won a game in 11, so they're probably going to want to come out fast. They're going to be flying at us. And Frank's response was, Bournemouth are one of the hardest teams in the league to play against. And it's just like, come on. Like, it's even in the question. The question is, they haven't won a game in 11. And your response is they're really, really difficult to beat. It's like everything seems to be self-preservation, dampen expectations consistently. And I think you're right. I don't think the Bournemouth game was actually a bad game per se. I don't think we played bad. I think we'd created a few chances. Richarlison hit the post. And if that was the consistent performance, then that would be a different conversation. But we've seen so many bad performances, and I just feel like it's the attitude around. Like, everyone just seems defeated. No one seems like they think like we're going to win. No one, like, everything just seems to be dampening every single expectation that anyone's got. But I think you're right. I don't think Tottenham fans. There's not many Tottenham fans I see in chats and things like that where they're saying Spurs should be in the top 5 or the top 6. Like, we're not expecting to win every game. So
you at least you want to watch a game where at least there's heart, there's soul, there's passion, there's energy, there's fight. Because otherwise, what's the point in turning up if you're not gonna fight for a game to try and win? Then what is the point in actually turning up to a game? You might as well just not play and just forfeit the match and just walk out, like, just not even turn up. There's literally no point. I mean, it's drummed into you when you start playing football as a kid. No matter if you're just playing amateur football or if you end up making it into academies and whatever, you play to you turn up and you give 100%. Even if it's a case of some games you need to win your individual battles. So there might be some games where key players don't do too much because in their individual battles with their opponent, again, they're being outmarked or there's someone just sitting them and they're trying to disrupt us, and that's fine. But the team as a whole, I think the individuals need to really. There's so many. The last 2 or 3 games I think I've watched, and we can go on it a bit more in a bit, but there's so many individual mistakes that's happening, and I'm just looking at it thinking there's got to be blame everywhere, but the players they need to look at themselves first of all and just be like, can I honestly turn around and put my hands up and say I am doing my utmost? I'm giving 100% to this club, and I don't think any of them can.
No. I completely agree, and I completely agree with Russell as well. There was a lot of talk before the game whether Frank would start Tell, and for me, from the game that he had previously, he came on and Tell wants to basically pick up the ball. He wants to run at his man. He wants to have a shot, and he wants to go forward. That's all he does. Like, that's all he wants to do when he picks up the ball, and it's so different to what other players do. Other players hide. They have a lack of confidence. This is a man that's barely played. He's been put on the bench. The game before Johnson left, Johnson was brought on. So Tell was on the bench alongside Johnson. Everybody knew Johnson was being sold to Palace, and he was brought on. Johnson was brought on, and Tell was left there. And you can't see that from when he goes on the pitch. Like, it's almost like he's already got the confidence that he should be there, which is crazy. And I completely agree with Russell. I think Tell now that should be given him. If he has a bad game next game, I don't care. I feel like he needs to have 3 or 4, maybe 5 games where he just starts every single game, tries to get into a bit of a rhythm, and we'll kind of go from there. But obviously, part of that does depend on who the transfers is and whether we have any transfers. But yeah, it's a real like strange one. And I was thinking this the other day, and this isn't down to go to the whole old manager or anything like that. But is there anyone in this squad that has actually played to a decent level? Because a lot of people say, like, I could sell the whole squad, the whole team could be sold. But are any of them playing to the level that we would come to expect? The only one I think you can maybe take out, that's Bentancur, on the basis that we don't know what player he is now because he's come back from his injury, right? He had an ACL. He might be a different player, so he might not be as good as he was. But is there anyone that you can think can sit there nearly halfway through the season and go, no, I've actually had a decent season. I've played pretty well.
I think a lot of them have. You go through the team, like Vicario he's not unbelievable. He's not a world-class keeper, I wouldn't say, but he's had some good games, some bad games, some probably more bad moments than bad games, I would say. Moments where he should be doing better. And I think he knows that and everyone else knows that. The back four, I don't know what's happened with Jed Spence, but when he first got his chance and he was playing, everyone was like, oh, after 3 games, it was like, he cannot be dropped now. Adogi's out, Spence come in at left back. Now, obviously, naturally not left footed, which doesn't help. I was sort of shocked that Ben Davies never started, but then at the same time, I think with the wingers that they had with the pace, maybe that was a part of it. That's the only reason why I could think of Ben Davies not starting. It probably would have been a good time to maybe put Spence at right back, Davies at left back, and rest Porro, because Spence would have had the pace and the natural side of him to maybe match Semenyo. I don't know if he would have been good, but it's something else. Romero, for me, I think I don't know if his head just doesn't want to be at Spurs at the minute, because he seems to just be, the amount of times I've seen him pick up the ball, like, or he's running to midfield to try and win a tackle, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you've not won that tackle, and then it's put the defense on the back foot, and potentially Van der Ven's been all right, I'd say. Again, a couple of moments where he's had some maybe bad decision making or just lack of concentration, but I think Van der Ven's been very good. Bentancur, there's always a player there. I mean, some of the turns he does, he's still got the ability. He's probably our calmest player on the ball. For me, it's just his passing has really dropped off. He does so much, and then he makes the pass, whether it's forward or sideways, and it just doesn't get to his player every time. So I just think
it's weird. It's weird with Bentancur, right? Like, sometimes I watch Bentancur, and I'm like, yeah, he could be a top player. And then other times I watch him, I think you do such silly things, basic things. It's really, really strange. Like, as you say, sometimes I watch him and he'll have 4 players around him and he'll spin and he'll turn and he'll get out of it. And I think, how have you done that? And then other times I watch him and he can't pass the ball 2 yards. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't. But that's typical Spurs, right?
I think he picked it up at left back, and there was 2 players either side of him. They were both trying to challenge him, and he just sort of done a little back turn and off he went. And the 2 players just stood there.
Yeah.
And then about 3 minutes later, he picked the ball in midfield, went to play it to Jed Spencer left back, and it didn't even make it to where it needed to go. And I'm like, how have you done that? And then your passing's there.
Yeah, it is strange. I agree with you. I think Van der Ven is the one where you could say he's been at a decent level.
Is he still out?
Is anyone else that you can think? Yeah, no, Richie is.
Oh, yeah,
I think Richie's overtaking him now.
Nah, again,
I think Richie's done okay. In his all-round play, he hasn't done that well. But where is he in the top scorers now? He's dropped off. He's got 7 in the league. Nah. So Bruno Gomes has got 8, to be fair. But yeah, I think he's a top scorer now. I think Van der Ven has done okay.
Been good. Xavi Simons is an awkward one, because he played, didn't look too good, had a period where he was on the bench and come on and then started again, and he seemed to, that little run on the bench and not playing and then coming on, started again. He seems to have, again, he's not lighting up the world at the minute, but he seems to be showing what he can do, and I'm quite liking that. But other than that, I think everyone's been like either bang average, but it's been more silly individual mistakes rather than, I mean, the whole team as a whole just don't seem to have they all come out after the game and say, we need to be together, we need to get better. But after all that, I'm like, well, then do it. Stop telling us you're going to do it. We're in January now. Do you know what I mean? With 20 odd games in, things need to be picking up now. You can't keep telling us every game you've got to try and get better.
Yeah, I agree. And again, Russ, I completely agree, mate. I feel like Tell's free kicks and, well, mainly his corners have been causing trouble every single time he takes them. He seems to be causing trouble. I'm sure it was when he obviously had a run where he was on the bench and didn't come on. But before that, I think it was a Newcastle Man United game. I think, and one of the first games, I think it was Newcastle. He was the corner taker, which got us the goal. And then Man United, he was on the left wing and he made a crossfield pass where he beat a man, made a crossfield pass it was almost like a cross, and that's when we scored from it. So I feel like that's an underrated characteristic in that team as well. The fact that Tell's got the ability to play and take the corners for sure, and the other player that would take the corners is Porro. Now, Porro's got a lot of stick in this fan base, and I completely understand it. He's not been playing to a ridiculously high level or anything like that. But people just need to understand the amount of games this man plays. Like, he just plays every single game. Like, it does not stop playing. Like, I pulled it up earlier on, right, when I was looking at Porro's stats for
I know he got his
transfer
fifth
market
card last night, but it doesn't. He doesn't get the
No,
ban past the figure.
Yeah,
like, if he'd have got that on Boxing Day or the game after, he would have had to have missed a game. But
yeah, I don't think he's missed a game this year in all competitions. I don't think he's missed a single game. And it's 30 already. If I'm right, let me just double check. Yeah, he's played 30 games in all competitions, and they're virtually all 90 minutes. He's literally come off.
I think he come on as a sub once.
Yeah, he has. He's come on. He's come on as a sub a couple of times, I think.
He's come on,
but he's played in.
But he's also been taken off for like when a Dogie come back. I think. And
yeah. But other than that, he's literally played like every single game.
I know.
Like every single game. And when you look at the left-hand side, like there's so many times where I've gone, Spencer's had games where he's not played, so he's going to be fresher than Porro. So when Udogie's fit, I'm like, okay, he'll bring Spence in. No, he doesn't. Right. Porro plays every single game. Like, we need to understand that this is not, especially at Spurs, this is not normal for someone to play this amount of games, and I think that's a big part of why he struggles. But Russ does bring up a good point. A lot of people, and I said this as well, I'm not a fan of it. I don't think he should do it, but Frank doesn't like to play through the middle. It's been quite clear. You look at all the statistics, central passes just do not take place. So I said, why does he not then go with? We're basically playing a lot of people out of position, right? We've got go to the Bournemouth game. You've got Bergvall playing out of position. Mawani comes on the pitch. He's playing out of position. You could argue Tell's more of a forward than a left winger, but he's playing in that. He's playing in that role. I feel
like Tell's similar to Son though, where he likes to play left and then cut in and whip it with his right. That's what he always tends to do, and that's what we see last season. For me, it was more he couldn't beat his player. The intent was there, and he wanted to, but technically he just physically couldn't do it, and that's why I was like, oh, why have we just signed this boy for 40 million?
Yeah,
but I think he's got a point to prove, Tell.
Yeah. He has. But I feel like he's got the mentality to be a top player. Like, he's got the mentality. But what I was saying with this, what Russ is saying about Danso being in there, I said, listen, if you're going to be a team that just want to play long, so you want to absorb a bit of pressure and then you want to go direct and long, which is exactly what Frank done last year. You had Mbuemo, you had Wissa. Then what he could do is play free at the back, and he could play Mawani and Richarlison up top together. And then play maybe a Simmons or a Kudos. Obviously, Simmons was out. And if you just go long and you just try and win them second balls, then a lot of people talk about creating and why we've been lacking in creativity and things like that. But that's because teams have been able to get set into their way while we're trying to attack them. Now, if you just go long, you bypass all of that. And then you just got to make sure that you win second balls. Now, Mawani's quite tall. Richarlison's quite good in the air. And obviously, if you had Kudos or someone else buzzing around them, normally what happens is we've only got one up front. So when the ball goes long to them, there's no one in and around them. So even if they win the first, they don't win the second. No
one's there for the second.
So there is an option to play free at the back and go to that sort of style that he wants in terms of going long. And then also you bypass in the midfield, which he doesn't have faith in the midfield to build up anyway. So I actually agree. And on some occasions, I think free at the back, I wouldn't do it. But what I'm looking at is the way that he wants to play football. Danso on free at the back may be effective in being able to get the ball to, if you play two up front, being able to get the ball forward. So, but yeah, just what are your thoughts on Frank? I don't want to sit here and completely go into every single thing negatively, but I'm interested to know, because there seems to have been a bit of a split, which now seems to be edging more towards Frank going. there's a lot of people that think that he's kind of going to get the year. There's other people that think Villa, if we lose against Villa, then it's all over. But where do you currently sit on Thomas Frank?
I think he's the steady Eddie. He's like he's
Yeah.
It's quite frustrating in a way, because I want the manager to come out sometimes and say we were terrible today. We wasn't good enough. Every game, at the end of the game, his interviews, he's always positive about the game. And then every Spurs fan sitting there going, that was absolute rubbish. What is going on? We can all see it. And then he's in his interviews going, oh, there was a lot of positive to take away from that. But we've just been beat. And it's not just that with, if it's a back and forward matter, I've always said this, if it's back and forward, and we concede an unlucky goal, and we try, and we're knocking, and it just doesn't happen because they just put 6 at the back and we just can't get through. And that happened plenty of times over the last couple of seasons. Spurs fans go, do you know what, they give it a good go though. That we were entertained, they give it a go. It's not out of effort. Whereas at the minute it feels like it's just lack of effort. And obviously I don't think the Spurs players want to lose games. No one wants to. You can't be called yourself a professional if you want to lose games. But at the same time, if the tactics are being told for them to, as you say, to go to 1-0 up and then we'll see how we go and we'll just try and hold that, rather than, right, let's get 1 early and then go for 2 and go for 3 and kill the game off, and then we can bring on the subs and then have that settle. If they're being told that, then that's on the manager, because that's the way he's setting them up. That's the way he's setting that team up. I feel like there's no. He doesn't have. It's a lack of passion for me, and I've really got to figure out. I just, as I say, the whole club just seems to be in a shambles at the minute, and it's not. The big question for me is, if we lose to Villa the weekend, and that means we're out of the League Cup, we're out of the FA Cup, the league is going to be a ridiculous league this season, I think, because if we win 2 games on the bounce, we end up in like 8th or 7th, I think it is, even higher potentially. But then every game you lose, you then drop down to like 12th, 13th. So you're going to be up and down. Who do we get in? And I don't know if Spurs fans can actually. If I wish you could do like a vote and we could just see, because
it's only people that are watching in the live chat can put their teams in. But also the managers in.
I don't know who we get in where people go, we're happy with that. And I think if he does end up going after the Villa game, someone who does come in, it needs to be for a 6-month period. It's not a signing someone for 2.5-year deals. It's a case of your contract is in until the summer, where we will evaluate and adjust from there to see if you want it or anyone else wants it, what's going on. And then we go from there. But you can say what you want about Frank, and it's probably not going to get better. I can't see how it gets better. But at the same time, who do we get in to make it better? Because you could end up getting in someone else. There's a lot of talk I've seen about Harry Redknapp, and I think for Spurs fans, again, to the end of the season, if he come in knowing what he's been like previously and how he goes about his stuff, that can only be a positive. The only thing about that is obviously he's not been in the game for that long. Will he come in and tactically and everything else, will he play a certain way?
Yeah. I was having a chat, funny enough, with Stateside Footy. Big up, my man. Thank you for coming in and saying hello. We was having a little bit of a chat off air just about Harry Redknapp, because it was mentioned on a stream I was on yesterday about him coming in, and that would be my biggest fear with him. Not necessarily the age, just how long he's been out of the game. And I think that the Harry Redknapp, the way he put together squads, the way he put together tactics, the game is so different now. Like if you're out of the game for 4 or 5 years, you kind of losing the way it's working. Like Pep came in and obviously changed football a lot more is based on physicality and sitting back and everything else.
But do you think he gets more out of the players though? For me, if you take away the tactics, right, and we forget about how we're going to play, because he could set up in a a 4-4-2 if he wanted to. Do you feel like if Redknapp was to come in, would he be able to put his arm around a few of the players and go, "Come on, boys, you're better than that," and boost the spirits, and then get everyone going? We want to play, and just increase that what we all want, that fight and passion.
100%. I would love to play under Redknapp. I would have loved that. You know, you look at some man, he's just like, oh, sod playing under him. That would have been a nightmare. But under him, you're going to absolutely love it, especially as an attacking player. But it's not for a couple of games.
Exactly.
Like it's not like oh, it's a couple of game buzz where a lot of people throw this at Ange. Oh, the first 10 games is because no one understood what he was doing. No one knew what the tactics were going to be. And if Redknapp comes in, no one could really say what they know he's going to do because he's not been around the game for so long. You could have a rough idea and base it off of his history, but that was so long ago. Mm-hmm. So I think that if there was like 5 games towards the end of the season and you was looking at doing it, I would get it. But we played 21 games. There's still 17 games to play in the Premier League.
Yeah,
like obviously that's not including
season, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a half a season, and for someone who's not managed at that level for a very, very long time, I think it's very difficult to then be able to say come in for half a season and manage it. Now, as I said, if we was talking a few games towards the end, then 100% I could understand where that might come from. But
I just feel like with nothing, if we lose to Villa, we're at the FA Cup. The only thing we're left in, I think, is the Champions League, which, again, we've got to do probably we'll end up getting the qualify to the group stage, the knockout stages. Sorry.
Yeah, looks likely.
And if we don't get that, I think Spurs fans would expect us to probably not go through. I don't think anyone's really confident about us progressing. So if we did that, and it was just for Premier League games. So we've got maybe you'd have 1 game a week, the odd week where you'd have 2. Mm-hmm. I think, again, though, because I think Redknapp, with his age as well, I don't think he'd want to do a 3-year contract either. It would be a case
it would be. Yeah,
I'll come in and I'll try and do what I can do until May, and then we'll part ways and we'll see how we go. He might come in and really like it. He might come in and, as you say, it might end up going completely tits up, and he might go, do you know what, sod this, I'm out of here. I don't fancy getting back into management ever again. I'll sit at home and watch it and enjoy myself. But I just don't know. That's a name that gets floated around, I think, because of the links to Spurs. I think he said on one of the broadcasts as well that he'd do it for free. He'd do it for nothing if he wanted to.
Harry Redknapp is not doing anything for free. Let's just tell you that. Nah. Let's be clear on that. He's not doing it for free. But
I don't know. Again, who would be your top 2 serious contenders for managers if Frank got sacked on Sunday?
I think it's an interim regardless. I don't think they'll make the decision until the summer. So it'll be a 6-month thing. Yeah. I think they want to do exactly what they've done with Ange. I think that knowing, like, after the scenes at the parade and everything else, the board must have known very early on that they were going to get rid of Ange regardless if he won it or he didn't. Yeah. They must have felt during the season, we're going to give him till the end, but he's going to go, and that's the end of that. And I feel like they're in a very similar situation with Frank. I think they're sitting there saying, we want every opportunity to give him every opportunity to get to the end of the season. Mm-hmm. If we was to, like what Russ has just said, if we lose to Villa, West, if we go on like a run where we lose 5 on the spin, or if we get beat 4-0, 4-0, something like that, then he will probably end up going. There's no doubt about that. But I think they want to give him every opportunity possible to stay in the job until the summer, and then they will reevaluate. In the summer, you've got Pochettino that comes available. You've got Tuchel, who it looked like it was a short-term thing to take on England until the World Cup, and then fall back after that, go back into club management. But obviously that also depends. If England go out very early on, he'll get the sack regardless. Nagelsmann, they reckon, might be at the end of his, I don't know if he's at the end of the contract, but there's loads of rumours that he may be leaving and be available in the summer. So the summer is a much more attractive proposition for managers.
And I think, again, with the rumours of Pep potentially leaving City in the summer,
Maresca's available now. Obviously, there's rumours about Slot. So there's things change so
all these other
quickly.
Big clubs are going to end up wanting to. And how do you challenge and say, oh yeah, come and join our club? You can't compete with these other teams because they're going to give them money, they're going to give them time, and it'll be a much better package than than joining Spurs.
Yeah, 100%. And even that, like, well, again, I was having a chat with someone offline about where is he? He's in the chat as well. Big up, my man. We was just having a chat about who would be the next manager and who would come in. And I was like, for me, I think it's the summers where they start looking at that. But in the summer, it depends on where Spurs are. Like, listen, I'm not. This is completely hypothetical. I'm not saying there's even a chance of this. But if we're a Champions League, if we get in the Champions League, right, then who we should be targeting should be different to if we got in maybe the Europa League or if we got into the. And if we do manage to get that high, does then Frank stay anyway, sort of thing. So what you're saying there about the FA Cup, if we go out of the FA Cup, it's disastrous, right? Because it means that, as you said, we're not going to win the Champions League. So we've basically just got the Premier League to look forward to for the rest of the season.
And you're going to want to be as high up in that as you possibly can to get into the European places.
But does that in a way play into Frank's hands? Because Frank was always a manager that basically managed with 1 day a week. That's all he's ever had is 1 game a week. He's never, if you actually look for his cup record is pretty poor. I know it's Brentford. This is not a dig at him. I'm just saying that what he's used to. The only
then if
time
we're
that he ever,
aspiring to be up there, he needs to be able to get. It's not. If we don't get in there next season, he'll have a season where he doesn't have 2 games a week, right? And that might benefit him. But then we're hoping that the season after that, we are back in the European.
But that's the point. That's the point. And what I was saying is what I've maintained throughout this whole situation is that Frank for me would have been. He's never going to be the perfect appointment for me because I want more attacking football. That's how I want as a standard. So, but it is what it is. I don't make the decisions. And if a manager comes in, I'm not just going to slate them and want them gone because they're not the one I wanted, right? I didn't want Ange in the first place. I didn't want Frank in the first place. And I've been still backing both of them until it gets to a point where I feel like you can't anymore. But with Frank, that's what Frank's known. He's known a 1 game a week, get my tactics, drill the players. And I always said that he would have been a sensible appointment if we didn't win the Europa League. He would have come in, he would have just had the 3 competitions in domestics. That's all he would have had. He'd have had more time on the training ground because people forget this isn't just games, especially in like when we're playing in the Champions League during midweek. The team basically have a very light session on like set pieces and what they will be doing against another opposition, which is obviously not who they play in the Premier League. So that's going to be a completely different session. They then are flying out off and flying back. Like you don't get the time on a training pitch. You just don't. And he's used to having that. So, and you're also talking about you're not moving from one system and just continuing it. We're actually changing the complete system. So we've gone from an attacking system to a defensive one. So a lot of training is required in that aspect. And I think, listen, I'm not saying he should, going out against Aston Villa will be a blessing for him at all. I'm not saying that because he will have a lot of stick for going out. But if they are saying to Frank, you're going to stay till the end of the season, actually, we may see us climb up the league if we go out of the FA Cup. Because he's just going to be able to really sit down and then once you've got to say we're then at the summer, most of the squad sort of have their understanding of what our requirements are and what he needs to be doing and what they need to be doing and then you've got a better benchmark next year
to get shipped out and then you're going to be bringing in all the new players to then try and learn the way.
But this is it, right?
The way I see that as well. Do you not think he had enough time in the pre-season to then get them to where they need to be?
Well, no, he clearly didn't. And that is not a slight on him because, again, what happened in the summer, Alenia we got in early, we got Kudos in early, we didn't get Xavi in early, and we didn't get Muani in early.
No.
So, and let's be quite clear, Xavi is the main attacking outlet that we have at this club at this moment in time, especially now Kudos is out. You could argue both of them, but he needs to amalgamate into the team and understand what the requirements are. Yeah. He's not only coming from a different league, he's coming from a different league where Leipzig, I know they struggled last year, but generally speaking, Leipzig are a more dominant team that take control of the ball and they're ones that you expect them to win most games. and then he came to Spurs, and we was under a completely different set of tactical setup and everything else. So
of
I
course.
don't think you can break down a transfer window, and it depends on what side of the fence you sit on. Because with like the transfer window, people that want to kind of stick the sword into Frank will say that he got 4 first-team players, 4 first-team ready-made players that come in to the 11 effectively, right? Moani, Kudus, Palhinha, and Xavi Simons. But then the other people will say, well, hang on a minute, 2 of them are on loan. Like Palhinha one is obviously there is an option on it, but the Moani one was a last-minute loan deal. Like what? That was
just to get cover so he wasn't short.
Solanke, I think they realised Solanke was probably going to be out for a while. So then it depends on how you sit on it. You could say, yeah, it was 4 first-team players, but then you could say, well, actually, maybe it wasn't for first-team players because, as I said, one was on loan. So it depends on how you look at it. Like there's so many different aspects and caveats to it. But one thing's clear is that you're right. A lot of players in this squad need to be changed out. So, but do you think do you think Frank should stay now? Do you think he should stay in?
The only reason, I mean, it's bad. It is bad. The only reason I would say he should stay in is because I don't know who else we bring in that's going to. And again, you could bring in Redknapp, right? And he comes in and we win 5 on the bounce. We jump up the table and everyone's like, "This is what we wanted." And then we go on a bit of a run where we like go unbeaten maybe, or we lose a couple, win more, and whatever else. But I think everyone at this point just wants to see better football, just wants to see a better way of playing. And in that case, if that's what we want to see, then yes, he should be going, because I don't think we're going to see that.
I think I've always said, and it's not just the reason why I want attacking football. I feel like that as a club, that's what fans want, and I just feel that if you was to play attacking football and lose the odd game or draw the odd game, you've got not, it's not an excuse, but you've got a little bit more leeway. They'll just allow you a little bit more leeway because it looks like you've tried to go and win the game. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it just looks like we're just happy to sit back and defend and see how things go, and I just don't think as a fan base we resonate with that at all.
And as I say, I feel like it's after the games when you hear Frank and that in the comments and in his press conferences after the game, it's like, yeah, there's positives to take away from that, and then you're like, well, now we're 21 games later in the Premier League and we've still got all these positives, but they're not. You're not putting them all together. We're not going right. We've done that really well. We've done that really poor. Yeah. Let's stop doing the poor stuff, try and work on that and try and cut them out. But again, you can't put all the blame on Frank, because I think there's a lot of individual mistakes being made in this squad in games. And Frank must be standing there as well going like, what is going on? Why have you done that? Because anyone can see it. Everyone's sitting at home or in the stadium screaming at the players going, why have you just done that? Why has that happened?
Yeah, 100%. And I said this all last year. I literally said this all last year, that it doesn't, like, the manager has to take responsibility on some aspects, 100%. But every manager does. Like, I'm generally watching Man City fans, and I've seen Man City channels and things like that where they're going, we need to sack Guardiola. And I'm like, hold up a minute. Like, even if he finished 10th, what he has brought to your club surely brings him a little bit of, like, stick with me for a couple of years sort of thing. Like, this is absolutely baffling. But you have to be able to have some sort of understanding as a fan base. Like, and I think that's what the problem Frank has, is that if you generally look at what Frank has brought in into a positive at Spurs, there's not loads that you can sit there and say. And again, I'm not blaming him for that, because again, I said last year, the medical team, we'll go on to the injuries that Frank's come out and kind of gave us updates today about, but I'm pretty sure it was the Kulusevski injury where the reporter asked Ange, and Ange said, I've spoken to the medical team and they've told me it's just a knock or it's minor. Or, like, this isn't the manager's not diagnosing this. That's come from the medical team, and then he's out for a year. Like, this has been a problem for us for however long. And yes, Ange was responsible for hamstring injuries. His style of play brings them on 100%. Again, he takes a responsibility on that. No doubt about it. He takes some responsibility. But we're still getting injuries now. Udogie's still getting injuries now. Bergval's out now. Bentoncourt's out now. And nobody's throwing mud at Frank saying that this is all on him. And that's right, because it's not on him, just like it wasn't last year because nothing is always on the manager.
No.
He takes responsibility. Recruitment, again, we all knew where the issues were, and we're all sitting there saying where the issues still are right now. We know we need a left winger. A left winger needs to be brought in. And I was on Last Word on Spurs yesterday, and I made a statement about Brennan Johnson, and I said that I don't understand why he was sold. And I wasn't saying Brennan Johnson's amazing, we should never sell him. What I was saying is we sold Son and there was no replacement. We then sold Johnson and there's no replacement. And the next day, Kudos gets injured. And now Kudos is out until March, the end of March.
Well,
So we are.
You're talking about that as planning, though. Bournemouth, they're looking like that Semenyo's going. And they've already got, can't think of the boy's name, but they've already got someone lined up to come in on loan for a season with a view to buy him at the end of the season. And that's planning. If all these other teams can do it, why can't we do it?
And this is what I was saying yesterday. I actually used that as an excuse. I was like, look at Bournemouth. They literally have kept a player while when he's got a release clause. They've kept him because they want him to it does impact the 11 because obviously he's one of their better players, but they've kept him because they know that they need to replace him. Whereas with us, we've gone, no, it's okay. We'll ship him out and then we'll play Bergval right wing.
Yeah.
What is going on here? Like, it's just weird. Absolutely weird. Russ is absolutely rubbing it in, letting us know that he's absolutely boiling and we're all freezing. So appreciate that, mate. Much appreciated. Over in Oz.
The boy that Bournemouth have been linked with getting him on loan, I think, was Nwaneri from Arsenal.
Oh, really?
That's what I've seen. They're taking him on loan. And obviously, Semenyo's very good. He's a good player. But when you're replacing someone like that with a Premier League, not proven, but someone who's not done too bad in the Premier League since they've come on the scene, it's good business. But again, it's planning. And no doubt that transfer will be done in the next couple of days, if that's true, I imagine, because you've just got rid of, I know you've got a lot of money in for your best player, but then you've replaced that position straight away and planned it well, and that's what it should be about.
And the planning at this club is just absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Like, Son is another one. Look at Son. We knew 2 years before he left that he was on his way out eventually and that he was going to go, and no, we'll carry on, and then we get rid of him and we've got no replacement. Like, in what world does that make any sense?
I'm surprised we've not got him back on loan when the MLS stops to the end of the season. It doesn't surprise me if we don't take him back on loan, or some crazy transfer happens with that.
And 100% like we did with Gareth Bale. And then now we're linked with Sharda. I'm interested to know. We are going to go transfers just in a little while, but I can't make up my mind if this is very clever because Frank knows the player, knows what he's capable of, knows he fits his system, or whether it's just pure and utter laziness where it's like, let's go and sign players from Brentford, his old team. Like, I can't make up my mind. I don't think Sharda's outstanding. I've seen some people say that he's a top player. I think he's probably got potential, but let's not forget, I think he's 23, 24 now. If I'm not right, I'm sure he's 23, 24. I'm going to make myself look silly now. And he's like 18 or something. But Sharda, how old is he? He's 23. So, again, this is a player that has not been incredible or doing anything ridiculous. The only positive about him is that he actually does bring more goals and assists than a lot of the other wingers that we've been linked with. So Sharda in the league has got 9 GA in 20. And when you look at even Ademola Lookman, for instance, who's renowned for being a bit of a goal scorer, he got the hat-trick in the Europa League final, that sort of stuff. he's actually got a 1 in 4 record this year. He doesn't have a good goal scoring and assist record at all this year. And we're linked with him, and people are saying it's because he scores goals. And I'm like, well, he hasn't this year. So he might have scored goals, but he hasn't this year. Yeah. And actually, Tell has more league goals than him, and Tell has barely played. So that's a damning indictment, to be honest. I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying Lookman's not a good player or anything like that. I'm just saying that we need goals and assists at this moment in time. I think this is another part for me, just about just staying on Frank, and we'll come off of him in a minute. Just, it's about linking up and getting good partnerships, right? Like, they're the key to successful sides. You talk about centre back partnerships, centre midfield partnerships,
yeah, of course.
And I just don't feel there's been enough partnerships all around the pitch. And again, I'm not saying that that's solely on Frank, but he has to play a part in that. I think Porro and Kudos have a decent understanding. I think Romero and Van der Ven have a decent understanding, although Romero seems to be a little bit off the boil recently, making a few mistakes. But outside of that, Palhinha and Bentancur actually have a decent record together, but they don't look like they have a great partnership in terms of being able to feed off of each other. And the only other ones really is Tel and Odebert, because they've played together at France level, under 21s. They've grew up together through the ranks, so they know each other. But outside of that, I can't say there's many players where you're thinking, yeah, they kind of all link up well and intricate and understand each other's games, really. So
no, I can't think of any other ones, to be fair. I think you've named them all. But that's a shame, because these group of players the transfer window just gone in the summer. We haven't shipped out loads of players. We've not brought in loads of players. We brought in 4 players, and I don't think we even sold. Did we even sell anyone?
What last the summer?
Yeah.
We got rid of a Son, didn't we?
But other than that, I don't think there's anyone else that's.
We haven't got rid of anyone. Like, we've not actually sold many people. So
all these players have been there. They've all played a full season with each other as well, if not more. So these players should know already. They should have their relations. They have their close relationships. They should know. There's no. I'm not. So what's the? Do you know what I mean? What's the excuse then? Because these have been. We've signed 8 players in the summer, and they've all got to try and work it out. Again, is it just a manager?
But Sunderland done that. Sunderland upheld their whole squad, and then on top of that, with the African Cup of Nations, they've lost 7 of them.
Yeah, I know.
So
with us, it's like, as you say, the partnerships ain't there. So again, it's not because we've signed a load of players in. It's because the manager's not allowing these players to play together frequently. So again, that's got to be on Frank. And these are probably what everyone is, when you look at it. What does it weigh up to get rid of him now?
Yeah, I don't think there's, like, I keep saying that it's like with players, right? If you've got a player, like, let's use Johnson as an example because he's gone. You've got a player in Johnson that you want to get rid of, and someone says to you, well, what you can do is you can sell him and you can bring in a player that's of roughly the same level. What's the point? There's no point in doing that, is it? And it's the same thing with a manager. And this is what I went back to Andrew with, was that in certain aspects, you can say Frank is better than Ange, 100% you can. And then in other aspects, you could say, well, Ange has also won trophies, etc., etc. So for me, you can argue over 10, 2%, 3%. But if you're getting rid of one, you have to upgrade one, right? You have to upgrade. You can't. And that was what the point was. And it works the same way for Frank. I can't think of many people that are available right now that's not unrealistic, that doesn't come with their own sort of question marks, that you can go and get right now that you can guarantee will be better. You could argue Maresca, for instance. You could say, well, what about him? Like, he's linked to City, etc. But even him, you could say, well, I know it wasn't all his signings, but they have spent £2 billion. Like, you know what I mean? You could turn around and say that he didn't get the best of Palmer. Palmer's had probably the last 12 months. I don't think Palmer's he's had a few injuries, granted, But then you could argue that he's got a pretty much what some would say is near enough a superstar there, and he couldn't get the best out of him at times. So, listen, every manager comes with its own drawback. I just don't see a reasonable manager that's out there that will come in for a short period that we can go to. Personally, I just don't see it.
Yeah, and that's my biggest fear is that Frank goes, and then we get someone in who plays attacking football and, do you know what I mean, does all the good stuff we want him to, but again, it just doesn't work. And it's, for me as well, it's like, how many more, it was the same probably last season, it's like, how many more managers do we foul before someone above needs to then go? And it's probably the same as how many more managers we go through before the squad needs to be looked at and they go, do you know what, we need to gut this squad, like 10, 12 players might have to be shifted on and we replace them with new. It's going to be a massive transition. And again, but I think Spurs fans would probably understand more this season if we did that. If in the summer we said, you know what, we're going to sell 10, we're going to bring in 12 players. That's a massive turnaround of new players. That's when everyone's then got, as you say, build the personal relationships. Everyone's got to get comfortable with each other. Then also get comfortable with the tactics and the new manager. If we was having that season with that taking place, I think we'd be a bit more understanding. And the manager would not be under as much pressure because it'd be like, look, you've had a lot of factors change. We'll give you time. You need that time. I don't think, and I think that's probably why there's a lot of frustration as well. Obviously, the bad.
But you can. I'm not. Listen, it's not easy. I'm not pretending to say it's easy. But with that amount of change in the playing staff, if you have a season where you don't have Europe, you have more time on the training ground.
Yeah.
Like I have no doubt that if Frank had not got the Champions League, we'd be in a better league position. I've absolutely no doubt about that. But we knew that we was going to, and again, what I said before he was appointed, there is absolutely zero proof that Frank knows how to manage a group of players playing twice a week.
Yeah.
And even when I mentioned it in the summer when we was linked with him, people were in the chat saying, well, he did because he managed the Championship. And I'm like, hang on a minute. This is different levels. We're talking about Champions League. We're talking about a midweek fixture against Real Madrid away, not Port Val.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's crazy. Like, it's completely different levels.
So I take it you want Frank to, you don't want it, but I take it in your opinion, Frank is going to stay until the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's what they want to do. I think they want to get him to the end of the season, and then they can assess their options. And I don't see. I see there's a couple of managers, like there's loads of managers out there that you could argue will do a better job, but there's also a lot of arguments against them doing a better job. Like so many of them, so many attractive managers. Bologna's manager, he looks good.
Xavi, and I'm like,
yeah,
he'll come in and he'll command respect because of what he's
instantly.
done.
Yep.
If you've again, I was saying it earlier to a few of the boys. I was like, if you've got if you're a team and it's a bit up and down, and you've got someone like a Zidane who's a massive stature in the game, and he turns around and says, "Right, I want you to do this," you don't then turn around and go, "Who are you?" Do you know what I mean? You go, "Right, you're one of the best players of all time. I'll do whatever you tell me because your footballing brain is obviously you've been there, you've done it all, you've won everything, you've had all the good coaches, you've been part of that, so it should in theory be good for us."
The only problem with him is that we could get into a Glenn Hoddle situation when Glenn Hoddle went in at Chelsea, and I can't remember who they interviewed, but Glenn Hoddle was the manager of Chelsea, and they went and interviewed someone, and they said that basically it became a problem because all of the players lost confidence because he would set up training drills that they couldn't do, but he could.
Yeah.
And it'd be the same thing for Xavi, because Xavi, like, imagine like going to Paulinho and saying to Paulinho, right, I want you to pop it there and pop it back and pop it here. And it just look at him like, what are you doing here? Like, I'm not, that's not what I'm going to do. And you can say that for all of our midfielders. Xavi would probably, if Xavi came in as manager, he'd probably start the first game because he would be able to run that midfield. And we haven't got one of them players, right? We just haven't got one. But there are a load of people that have said Xavi would never, ever be able to manage this team because he's so used to such a higher level. He did manage Al Sadd. So let's just understand, like, they are probably our level. To be fair, they're probably not far off our level because we have been so bad. But he's not just only ever run and managed Barcelona. But again, Xavi's a great name. Loads of positives why he would come in and be successful. But there's also loads of negatives. Like, he was a great player, but he's always been involved in a certain system that's had technically gifted players. And then there's also the fact he's never even played in this league.
Yeah.
Like, it's different if, like, say, for instance, like a Michael Ballack, if he came over, you'd be like, he would have some sort of understanding of the Premier League because he's played it. He gets it. Yeah. Whereas Xavi's never had that. So it's a real tough one. I think that there's no standout, and every manager will have its own drawbacks. But I think you're right. I think that if there is a change made, that it has to be a manager that's progressive and attacking in some way. And if they don't have that, I just feel like you're going to go for exactly the same thing, and you're probably going to go for exactly the same thing anyway.
I feel like the board will make a decision not only to benefit the team, but also to try and win the fans back on side as well, because the board will be hearing the fans. They'll understand what's going on. They're surely
100%.
Not that naive and stupid enough to block out all the noise. They can surely see it coming.
Yeah, I agree. Blaine, my man, Super Spurs TV, become a YouTube member. Oh, look at that, 4 months. Oops, I didn't have the auto renew on, Luke. You can call me all of the day. Big up. I would never do that. Blaine, I would never, ever call you anything like that, my man. You know that because I often call you it. Thank you very, very much, sir. Very much appreciated. I hope you are well. Somebody just set up to foul by the ball for a change. No, this is it, right? Every manager is, right? This is it. It goes right the way back. You can go as far back as you like, and this is exactly what you get. When you look at stats of Mbeumo, Wissa, Tony, the 3 goal scoring ratios were similar before Brentford. They were talented and negligible. All that they were. Well, the argument is I think they all improved under Frank. They definitely did, but you could argue that the whole way that Brentford is set up was that, were they always going to be late developers that were going to get to that level, whether Frank was involved or not, sort of thing? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, they definitely improved under his tenure, but did they improve because of him? It's similar. You look at Pochettino. Pochettino is the perfect example at Spurs, right? Did all of those players improve because of him, or did they just improve while he was the manager? Like, was Dele Alli always going to be the player that he became? He was linked with Liverpool, so there's an argument that yes, he was always going to become that player. It just so happened that Pochettino was there for 5 years, and that's the player he become under his tenure. So it swings in roundabouts, doesn't it? But I definitely feel like Brentford as a whole take responsibility for that, with Frank taking a portion of that to obviously improve them. For me to change the culture of the club, introduce ex-players on the board, dressing rooms, a manager who commands respect, 100% understands football, not accountants. But I think the big problem with this, and the reason why it's hard to introduce this, and I completely agree, is that when you're part of the club, when you're almost employed by the club, you have to be able to, you can't speak your mind, which is what a lot of ex-players get labelled, is that, oh, they're on the payroll, so they don't say what they really, really feel. So as long as you got people in that were able to make them changes and say what they wanted to behind closed doors, they might not necessarily tell us, which is fine. But as long as you got straight talking ones in and around it, that would make perfect sense. But making sense and being Spurs, them two things don't normally go together. So, but I agree. I think that you should always have footballing people around, especially at the top. It's just crazy. It would be comical watching Xavi pass for teaching players to pass 5 yards. But this is what it would need, because it's not just, and listen, we're all guilty of it, but it's not just passing 5 yards, right? When you look at a team that's full of confidence and you look at a team that's got no confidence, not only do they pass it, but they pass it in front, right? So a player's running onto it and you pass it in front of them so that they can run onto that ball, instead of passing it behind them, because it's a bit safe and it means that there's less likelihood that an opposition player will be able to go in and nick it. Yeah. But also, instead of just like knocking it to them, they fizz it in because they've got a bit of confidence that someone's going to be able to take a touch and move on with it. So it's not just directionally playing a 5-yard pass, it's pace, it's precision, it's been able to bounce it off one and move like 2 steps to the side to receive the ball and that sort of stuff. So and listen, that needs to be trained to everyone, like because again it comes down to partnerships and understanding what the tactics require from you. But it would be interesting to see that when he walks in and Jesus Christ, what's going on here? Why can these guys struggle to do a 5 and 10 yard pass? He gave them an opportunity. That's the extent. Yeah, of course. And you can again that could be labelled at Frank, and it also could be labelled at Poch, I guess. Just get sponsored by John Smith's Habit. Do you remember that? I still say that now. I'm not absolutely not too young to forget that at all. We know about that one. Don't worry about it. And Crush FC. Yep, loads of 19-year-olds. Got another 19-year-old link with us. We'll get onto that in a second. Like imagine a setup, and I'm plucking names not sound right, but King is sporting director on the ball. Keen. I've always listen. I'm doing this whole Football Manager thing, right? That whenever I start out Football Manager, I go and always look at ex-coaches, ex-players as coaches, under 18s, like. Obviously, the older you get, the younger people that are coming through, especially like an academy side, they might not look up to these sorts of players. But imagine like learning. You've got Defoe, and I know we've had Defoe, but like Defoe. Imagine being a centre half, learning from a King, a King, or you're a winger. Bow's an example, but obviously he's not going to get into coaching. But that would be absolutely insane, and like not even as high up as sporting director. I'm just talking about having coaches in and around. Like it would be unbelievable. Like
Luka Modric as a under 21 coach, and you wanna you're gonna want to go to training because you're gonna want to just absolutely 100%. Learn everything that these people are gonna want to teach you.
And listen, he's going to play on for years. But imagine you're a 15, 16-year-old and Harry Kane's come in for the day to train you. Like, what? Unbelievable. And United do this all the time, by the way. United, even when United have players come over to sign contracts, when they're looking at signing players and they show them around a training ground, I think it was on the Gary Neville podcast, they were talking that they would randomly, like you're a young player walking around trying to sign a contract with Man United, or they're trying to sign you, and you'd randomly bump into like whoever it was, Sir Alex Ferguson walking around, and it's like they're trying to sign a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old. I mean, that's not by accident. That's because it's Sir Alex Ferguson there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So 100% we should be having young, but I think this should be a thing everywhere. Like John Terry, like Lampard's gone into management, but if you're at Chelsea, John Terry's walking about. You're having a coaching session, but John Terry, like that'd be unbelievable. He's got a good record, Robbie Keane. He's done really well wherever he's been, but it's a different level, right? It's an absolute different level. Latest link rumours, Gallagher, 200k, and with me giving a chance to sign Vanderson from Monaco. Really weird on the Gallagher stuff. What are your thoughts on Gallagher, Chris?
I think I don't think he's a bad player. I don't know what he would. He's sort of like the 8. I'd see him playing the 8 for us in a 2 midfield. Probably would improve.
Yeah, I agree.
To be fair, and I think he'd probably do well with like a Bentancur next to him, maybe someone who's going to just stay around, someone who can pass to him as well. Because there is a player in Bentancur. I really want him to come through and get back to what he was. So I think someone like that next to him who can pass the ball, play off of him, play and move around as well would be good.
One thing I'll say on Gallagher, I think 200 grand is a lot for him as a player. I think he's a good player, but 200 grand is a lot for him. But when the initial reports come out, it will never happen because of the wages he's on. And I'm like, it will never happen because he's on 200 grand a week. If we're really at that level, then we're really in trouble, because That was the whole idea of the stadium, was that that's where we were supposed to be able to go. Do you know what I mean? And obviously we're now supposed to be showing this sort of ambition. So, and
Apparently
yet
he's on
Werner
145k now at the minute.
Werner was on 180, right? It was a loan deal.
He
So
stole a living, that geezer. Couldn't believe it.
but it does prove that we can go there, like we can get
Yeah.
to that. So absolutely, I would take Gallagher at this present moment. It depends on the money. Like if they wanted like 65 million, then I wouldn't, because I think that he'd want a 5-6 year contract and everything else. But he's better than what we have right now, and that's what we need to do. We'll probably sign Hayden Hackney instead. Yeah, a lot of people like the look of Hackney. I'll tell you, and it isn't because we just played them recently. If we want, and I still think, I go back to Morgan Gibbs-White. I think he was the guy that Frank wanted and Spurs wanted, and they didn't get it over the line. But if looking at finances, depending on what it was, I think Alex Scott is a decent player from Bournemouth. He's a Spurs fan. He gets around the pitch. He's fit. He moves about. You can see that he's a forward-thinking player as well. The amount of times when we played them that he'd played a ball and then he was off. He was trying to find another bit on the pitch where he could take the ball and turn and everything else. So I'd like to see him, if that's the type of player we want, in terms of, it's not like a defensive player. He's a player that wants to get on the ball. I still think we should go for Morgan Gibbs-White. I think he's a top player, Morgan Gibbs-White. I think we should go and try him for him, but we should know whether that's going to be anywhere near attainable. And if it's not, move off. And I think Alex Scott would be the other one. And like when you look at wages and things like that, I know that you could argue that some of these players are in teams that are higher than us and everything else, but on the longer term and the project, we should be able to go to Bournemouth and take a good player from Bournemouth. Like, we should absolutely be able to do that. Sorry, for anyone that doesn't know, Frank had a press conference today and he gave a couple of updates on some injuries, which is unlike him because we haven't heard much about injuries for a while now. But Kudos is out for what looks to be at least a couple of months. You've got Bentancur, which looks like he has a hamstring injury, which is obviously not a great thing. Bergwald, you're going to probably get some information on that tomorrow because they were waiting on some tests today. And then the other injury was Kulusevski. So despite having his operation however many months ago now, Kulusevski's got an infection in his knee, which means that he's probably going to be out. Well, he is going to be out for another period of time.
4 weeks, I think they've said for him.
Yeah, they said about a month, right? And you just think, what is actually going on at this football club? Like, it is.
Someone's rubbing dirt in his scar wounds or something, isn't they? They're like, just get that in there. Just
like, what? I don't even know. One to keep an eye on is former Man United squad member Alex Robertson. Now with Cardiff's pet rated him because of him in no injury, and we'll get snapped up. Yeah, that is actually, he's another football manager. He's another football manager guy, to be fair. He was always a lower league sort of superstar, to be fair. And City's a great place to look at because City's youth teams are very, very good. So you can be very lucky and get a Rodgers and a Cole Palmer from them sorts of teams. But yeah, so injuries now, obviously, it's going to look like if we look at the Bournemouth team, for instance, the team that played against Bournemouth, Bergwald's now out of that and Bentancur will be out of that. So my guess is that Odobert will come in on the right-hand side, which means that we now have no winger on the bench at all.
18-year-olds, maybe, like the...
Yeah.
I don't know if Barnett can play there. Is he...
Barnett's played there, but 16 is like... And have we not got, like, we've got Villa and West Ham. Like, they're not really games that you want to be putting 16-year-olds in, but we haven't got a choice, right? So, and then if Bentancur's out, it's probably going to be one of the first times that we're going to see a consistent team without Bentancur in it, right? Because Bentancur seems to be the guy that constantly plays. Mm-hmm. He's always playing for him. He comes out for the odd game. Palhinha comes in, but so it'll probably be a Palhinha and Gray as your midfield. I think that's probably going to be because Berval's out. I think the next Africa Cup of Nations, I think you've got Basuma on against Sarr. So one of them will be coming back. But that's kind of all we've got. I know it doesn't look like anything's going to be done by the time we play Villa.
I see there was reports that we were sending scouts to see that Akliouche boy plays in the French league. I think it's Lyon or Monaco who he plays for. He looks like a good little player, but again, it's you're signing someone who's done well in the French league, and can they replicate that in a short period of time in the Prem?
Yeah, well, also you've got to consider that depending on where Kulusevski, where he thinks that Kulusevski plays, you could argue that Kulusevski and Kudus both play in the position that Akliouche will play. Now they could all potentially play 10 as well, but it depends on where Frank sees them as their starting. Where's their starting position? Because if their starting position is right wing, we're not going to go and sign another right winger on top of that, are we? So. But he's a good player, but then again, does he make that transition? Although League One players seem to be making a little bit more of an impression in the Premier League. They seem to be coming over a little bit of a better standard. But again, that's what 50, 60 million probably. And I think that at the moment we need to be spending it on the areas that we really need to. Yeah, that's what I thought. Pep, Sarr or Bis will have their AFCON finished tomorrow, so they will be back. I highly doubt they'll be playing against Villa, but they should be back the week after. And then there's obviously a few other bits and pieces we will be rounding up just in the next 5 or 10 minutes. In terms of transfer news, we've got the Souza, the left back, Brazilian left back that loads of people are now experts on and have monitored him for years, but didn't know who he was 2 weeks ago. He has, it looks like he's on the verge of signing for Spurs. You've got a few different sources have reported that the contracts have been agreed. And apparently the latest rumours tonight was that he didn't train for Santos because he's waiting to wrap up the deal for Spurs. Another 19-year-old. What are your thoughts, not on the player, Chris, because you've probably not seen a whole lot of him if you have seen him, but what are your thoughts on it being another 19-year-old coming into the squad?
I mean, the boy must have something about him for us to be serious, and we do need a left back.
Yeah, from a statistical point of view, let's just be clear, he looks like a very, very good player. Almost, you've got. I was reading a bit of a thread on X, and they were basically saying that it's almost the sort of Alphonso Davies, Udogie sort of style fullback in terms of a bit of pace, a bit of power. He wants to get to the byline. He wants to get the ball, wants to cross the ball in early, that sort of stuff. So it seems like from an athleticism point of view, he seems pretty much perfect for the Prem.
I think the price as well is like 10 or 11 million quid. I think we're signing him for. So
yeah,
it's going to be one of them players where he either comes in, does really well, and he shines, or he'll be one in 2 or 3 years' time. We'll sell on for 15 million quid, and it won't end up costing us nothing.
Yeah, 100%. My view is that I don't think we should be signing young players anymore. I don't think we should be signing anymore. However, I don't mind if we're getting the odd one. I'm not happy if we go and get a 19-year-old, another 19-year-old, and a 20-year-old, and that's our window done. I'm absolutely fine with him coming in, but there has to be other players that come in. So
I mean, they say the age is a factor, but it's more we need players that are ready to play and that are going to improve the first team now, not players that are coming in again where they might be good, they might end up being worth 70 million in the future, or we can sell them for a massive profit, or they might just be okay and we'll just accept that they're going to be okay and they'll be a good backup. Yeah,
but £10 million is neither here nor there, really, is it? If we were spending 35, then that's a different thing, isn't it? It's like it's 10 million. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. And yeah, we have just recalled Abbott. I believe he's got injured. I think he got injured, came back, and then I think he's got another injury, so they've recalled him. We've recalled so far in 8 days. We've recalled Yang, Donnelly, Solomon, Dorrington, and Abbott. Now I think Abbott's more related to injury, but all of the other 4 have all been recalled. Again, goes back to how poor we are in loans. Yang didn't feature for the team that were near the bottom, and now he's gone and signed for the team that are at the top. But from speaking to some Coventry fans, they reckon that they've only got 2 wingers at the club, so he may actually get more minutes. Donnelly, what a disastrous loan move that was. Barely played. The team was struggling, and now he's gone back out on loan as well. And he's actually joining Lancashire, Oxford, and they were 2 that won us the Premier League 2 with their goals and assists. Basically, Lancashire scored something like 30, and Donnelly had something like 20 assists or something like that. So hopefully they'll be able to rekindle their relationship. Solomon's obviously gone to the club that Paratici's rumoured to be going to, and I think Dorrington's come back but will be going out. Sousa's injury record is scary. He'll fit right in. Oh, great! That's exactly what we need—a player that often gets injured. But then, as Blaine said, other rumours that have kind of been flying around. You've got your sort of Colin Gallagher. He's one that a lot of people have mentioned. Sorry. You've also got Lookman, who more so in the sort of YouTube world has been mentioned. You've got Savinio as well. Savinio, there was a thing yesterday that Pep Guardiola had come out and said Savinio will actually be ruled out for 2 months. So the Savinio deal is not happening. Probably means that Marmoush won't be leaving neither, because then they'll be short, because if Savinio's out injured, then they'll need coverage there. And yeah, it just seems to be, there doesn't seem to be, other than the Brazilian kid, which, as I said, does seem like it's close. Nothing else really seems like it's anywhere near close, like not even really past the kind of brief talks. So that is a bit of a worry for me, because...
So what you're saying is that we're going to wait until the last day and we're going to sign 3 players on loan, probably, or above and beyond the odds, just to get them in. And
that's what it looks like, right? Who's making these signings, Chris? Because the rumor with Paratici is that Paratici has accepted and is going to Fiorentina. It's a matter of when we basically approve that as Spurs. Spurs, the rumor again is Spurs are unhappy that Paratici, we've kind of backed him throughout this whole trial thing and ban and everything else.
And he's moving on.
And now he's accepted to go somewhere else very, very quickly. So we're saying, look, show a bit of loyalty and stay around and get the transfer window sort of done for us. He's obviously thinking, well, actually, if I'm being employed by them, I want to get their transfer window sorted, because they're also looking at potentially being relegated. Mm-hmm. So who is the one that's making these decisions and these signings? It's obviously not Frank. Vinay is not the character to do that. So is it Langer?
Yeah, it's going to be Langer. He's the one that's going to be. Do we trust him?
And I think this is a big part of why Spurs fans are so frustrated at this moment in time, because we don't trust him. We don't trust them as a club. We don't trust the way that they're operating. We don't trust any of it.
No.
So even this, like, you can, like, if you would have gone back, not necessarily, just forget about Spurs for a minute. This was any other fan base, and we're linked with a 19-year-old Brazilian, played in the Brazilian league. Everyone will be going, he's going to be a player like the Brazilians. They know how to play. He's going to be like Carlos. And we're actually saying his injury record's pretty bad. So, like, and that's because they just have no trust. There's just no trust in the recruitment, unfortunately. So, yeah, but guys, we are going to wrap up there. It is nearly 11:30. It's been a good first one back, Chris. Thank you very much for coming on, my man.
As always.
We will be live again on Sunday. We're going to have we're going to add to the Thursdays that we do. We're going to do some Sunday sessions just during the transfer window, because there's obviously a few games, and there's also hopefully eventually there is some transfer rumours that we can really actually talk about and kind of have a look at. Maybe by Sunday Sousa deals over the line, we shall see, but we should definitely have some more updates on injuries like Bergvall and that sort of stuff. So yeah, guys, thanks a lot. Very much appreciate all the comments. There had quite a few comments coming in today. Massive shout out again to Blaine, member for 4 months. Big up to you. You must have joined on the first month and you've stayed loyal throughout. Look at that. Love that, my man. Thank you very much. The Ben Davies of the channel, the loyal man that stays around. That's exactly what we need. We need more of you, Blaine, for sure. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much for coming in. Hopefully Spurs play well over the weekend, and hopefully we see some of you here on Sunday. Last thing from me and from Chris, come on, you Spurs. See you later, guys. There we go.